would carry that many. Broke 400.
Wow.
My latest song I put out, I uploaded it last night about quarter to 10, and by almost 10 after, between 10 after, quarter after 10, I already had 14 people view. Then I got up this morning, and it was about 8:30. I opened it up. It was already over 300 something, give or take 30, 40, something like that already. 2 comments. It said I had 2 comments, but only could come across one, so I don't know where the other one was hide, but
Huh.
and then, what the hell? Oh, then I, gotten, like, 4 more subscribers to my channel, so and they were all based off that song, so anyway, the name of it is it fair to say? Question. So, pop on there, check it out. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, you know how to do the rest.
Are you telling us? Or are you
Yeah.
talking to people that are watching this video? The 5 people that possibly may watch this video.
Whatever works. In fact, I was thinking about advertising our podcast on my channel. I might entice the people to, if you want to see what the artist looks like, or songwriter looks like, the old guy on Skol chat, you'll see who writes the song for you, folks. There you go. Yeah.
What is that? Not cross merchandising, I guess cross advertising. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could just start posting the videos on my Facebook.
Well,
I only go on there to read posts. I never go on there or the marketplace. I never go on there to actually post anything. So
maybe you ought to.
Marketplace is nice.
I get lost there. I don't know where I'm looking.
you can find anything on there.
No,
Even
what I'm talking about at the locale.
well, you can find freezers that don't freeze ice cream, but freeze everything else on there. So I mean, it defies physics, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that fridge. I could have done experiments.
It doesn't freeze ice cream, but it freezes everything else. Okay, that sounds good.
But I wonder what they did to find out that it doesn't freeze. It freezes everything but ice cream. See, these are the experiments I wanted to run. Anyways,
Maybe you need to buy different brand of ice cream.
yeah, maybe it was just the certain ones. Maybe it was Breyers that wouldn't freeze.
Yeah.
But Kemp's that would be just fine.
Yeah.
Welcome to Skol Chat. We are a group created by 4 guys for the love of the game, specifically for our favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. We are 4 fans who get together to discuss all aspects of the team. We have room to add a couple of you at a time during our airings and would like you to join us in our chat. Although the game may only last a season, the desire for the game and the team is year-long. Please hit the subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, and give us either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on your experience, and leave us a comment. If you'd like to join us during the show, contact us at the email link provided below.
Welcome everyone to Skol Chat 51. Tonight we're gonna have Viking story time. Dan's gonna pick his Mr. Mankato or his vote for offense and defense of Mr. Mankato. There's some news running around the league. We'll talk about that. A Hall of Fame game took place Saturday night, I believe. And there's some other tidbits that we'll talk about that have come up during training camp. With that though, if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, like, comment, subscribe, hit the things, do the stuff, and well, let's get into Viking story time. So I've been trying to get have a trend or just, talk about training camp. And a lot of the flashbacks were to like Mankato training camp. I think the last one there was in 2017. And I wasn't able to find, and what I was trying to look for is like just stories of that happened in the past or, crazy things that happened. And there really wasn't any one long one. There's a bunch of anecdotes that people have come up with over the years. Like, for instance, do you know does the name Ed Mariano ring a bell to you, Dad? Ed Marino used to be running back for the Vikings for a few years back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then he moved into acting and he was on the TV show Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly he had a Porsche and he brought it to training camp in Mankato. It was a purple Porsche and he parked it in the parking lot. And then one time he went to go look for it, couldn't find it anywhere. And supposedly a bunch of the guys picked up the Porsche from the parking lot and walked it onto the practice field.
Yeah. I think I heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it was conditioning. I guess they were doing maybe 2 days. I don't know. That's pretty good.
Well, I wonder how many of them it took to move it.
Or just maybe the offensive line or defensive line. Maybe it's the purple people eaters.
Yep.
He was a defensive tackle. He didn't seem to be that big to be a defensive tackle, but I guess in the 70s or 80s that was big enough. But the head coach Jerry Burns helped him pull a prank where he went up on top of the one of the dorm buildings and threw a dummy off the top of the building that was dressed like a coordinator.
Boy.
But imagine you're walking by and all of a sudden something comes flying off the top of a building for somebody jumped. And I guess they did indoor track meets, like they had a day off or they had time off and there was nothing to do and they were trying to kill time. They like ran indoor like 1800s or whatever they like hurdles. They all did this inside the dorm rooms. And then I guess Bud Grant would start bocce ball games
Mhm.
behind the dorms. So I'm not sure who all would play, but like, imagine just walking around the building. You're a player, you're just had practice, you're tired, you just got back from eating, and all of a sudden you walk around the corner and there's Bud Grant and a bunch of guys just playing bocce ball. Relaxed, playing bocce ball, and you're just, dead from the practice. But then I guess Bud Grant also got upset because the players instead wouldn't take the sidewalks, they would just walk on the grass and take shortcuts. Well, he put up signs for them to not walk on the grass. And I'm thinking it was because of the bocce ball. He wanted to keep the grass nice and clean for his bocce ball and not have the guys walk all over and wreck the grass. But like I said, they were in Mankato for 50 odd years, 52, 53 years. I guess they trained up in Bemidji for a few years before they moved down to Mankato. But I think with the moving away from Mankato and going to TCO to their center there, it's just taken away. They don't seem like it's a tight knit local team anymore, right? I mean, where back in the day, you could walk into a bar in Mankato and you could see a Vikings player mixed in with other fans just drinking beer and just talking with me. And you just don't have that anymore, which is kind of sad, I think.
Yeah.
Well, back in the early 70s and that, the players, they were allowed to go into town on their day off, but there were some players that snuck out of the dorm to go and have a beer, so and then sneak back in, and there was a lot about that. Then there was some stories I heard about, you know, some of the players, talking about Mankato, that what they would do, the people, not like in the mid round 2015 or whatever, and the guys would bring their bikes so they can ride their bikes in the town or different places. And you can see it at popular eatery place, restaurants or joints, whatever, pounding down hamburgers or steak or whatever, So, yeah.
And people didn't used to have to pay. It used to be free. You could just go to training camp and chase down any player you wanted and ask for an autograph. So, yeah, how times have changed.
I
Mhm.
think the reason why there's admission to it now is because, well, Mankato, the fans will line up and down along the fence, watching the players out there and that. And of course, they did have their session of, autographs, if you're able to get the player to come over or whatever. But the thing is, I think what they're doing now, charging the admission is, hopefully trying to get different fans in there, not the same ones all the time. Then also too, they got to have some way to pay for the TCO. So what,
I mean,
three fields there and all this and that, and they gotta collect their revenue somehow.
Well, I think at the same time, though, like it's today's not like it used to be, right? There's cell phones everywhere. Things that happened back in the 70s, like wouldn't fly today. You know,
Oh yeah.
like the last one was whenever they'd head back up to the cities for a preseason game or whatever, like everybody get in their cars and they'd wait, and Jim Marshall would have an actual starter pistol, for a race. And then once he shot that off, everybody could just go up off was it Highway 169, and there'd just be like a parade of Vikings players just speeding up and down the highway. And at the time, Bud Grant would call the sheriffs and let them know that they're on the way to stop them if they were speeding. So, yeah. But I think moving on, we can get your Mr. Mankato vote. We all voted last week. I think the consensus for offense was Dylan Bell. Is that correct? I picked
Yeah.
Bo Richter for defense. I can't remember what you fellas picked. If you guys did pick a defensive guy, because I don't think I wrote it down.
No, I didn't pick a defensive guy last time. And obviously, I mean, there's so much talk out there. I already know who that's, who I believe is going to be at this point now.
Yeah. Well, I think when we were talking about it, it was kind of early to have a.
Ty Felton is my offensive, and now it's a toss-up on the defense. It's Dawkins, or it might be that Demings.
Sounds like Demings. Charles Demings.
Demings, either both of them are getting a lot of talk about how their game is going, So I think I'm gonna go with Demings.
Yeah.
And you hear every day you hear about him.
Yeah.
I see I've looked back at like Sports Illustrated, it has like training camp notes, and you hear from Judge Zalgett on Score North and other folks, other people that, Charles Demings, Chucky D, is what they're calling him now. He gets brought up every day because he's making plays every day. So they'll have Isaiah Rodgers, Byron Murphy Jr., and then they'll have, what's his name from the Steelers? Why am I drawing a blank?
You know what?
Well, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just can't think of his name either.
It's free agent signing. I'm just not going to be able to move on without thinking about it.
There was another thing I was going to bring up about that. Jennings, I guess, like Josh Metellus was saying about him, before going on the field or after walking off the field, Demings always got some phrase that he would talk, the quote of the day or the time or whatever. And it's like there'd be a word that'd be brought up and he could kind of, make a quote out of that, the word life lesson of the day or something like that. It's like he made reference to it similar as a real good speaker, like a preacher or somebody like that. That's how he is. Demings is with words and whatever. So I thought that was interesting.
It was James Pierre.
Yeah.
So they're gonna. I don't know how we'll see how he plays in preseason games, but we'll see him. It'll be interesting to see once the season actually starts if he's getting snaps with the first team. If he's gonna get thrown in the mix just to get him reps. We'll have to see. But otherwise, we're just gonna have a regular Mr. Mankato winner. And there's been multiple in the past that were winners and did nothing, that upcoming season. So hopefully he's different and contributes.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like, okay, you got your first team O-line, which is, the starters, but there isn't no real first team defense, like defensive linemen, or even in the backfield, or, it's like been a rotation of different guys out there, during the offense first team, or, the O-line and whoever's quarterback and whatever. And to start off with, it might be, Rodriguez and whoever on the line, then it might be Cashman or Wilson and somebody else, Cashman with somebody else, like Adams was in there with switching up between the two of them, Wilson and Cashman. Then here yesterday or Friday, he was told by their day off, I think was Thursday. And he said he went to the walk from the hotel to the facility to get what you call it? Anyway, some work on done or something. Anyways, he said he saw O'Connell leaving late and he walked by him and O'Connell, well, see you tomorrow, 32. So when he got in yesterday, here the jersey next to 54 in his locker, and that's so they had him out at safety yesterday.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I heard that, but it sounds like Jay Ward and Jacoby Thomas have missed snaps or missed practices. So I think it might be a bodies and just need numbers, or maybe he's more capable. I know that he was coming back from the injury and he just didn't have the mobility or the speed that he had when he was playing safety previously. And so the Raiders just played him at linebacker because he's still a good player. He just didn't have the range that he used to have. So maybe he's getting back some of that. And that's why there's decided to try and mix him in at safety too, which it would only make sense, right? And that's what Brian Flores does. He wants guys that can do more than one thing, and that's what he's known for. So gives him more flexibility. And they're not able to guess based on who's on the field what they're going to do or what kind of defense they're going to run.
Well, Adams did say he was fully healthy. He was, he felt better than he did the last 2 years, so.
Yeah, we'll talk more, when we get into the other standouts, we'll talk more about what's been going on at training camp. But I saw some news today that Teddy Bridgewater, decided he didn't say he's retiring, but he's stepping away from the Lions. I'm not sure what's all going on there.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I think they kind of worded it as he was basically retiring from the article I read on it.
So that's good news for us, right? In a way, because that just leaves the Lions scrambling to try and find a backup quarterback. And it sounds like they signed Josh Dobbs, the astronaut.
Did they?
That's what I think I saw last. And I could have made that up if I made it up. I mean, it's not like anything new. It's not what any other people are doing on YouTube when they're making their clickbait.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that at the end of last season? Sign him?
The Lions?
Yeah.
I don't know what they did after they signed him last season. I know that Teddy was backup all last season.
It seemed like that, it sounded like they're not lying. So, it seemed like I heard that too. I don't know.
Yeah, he signed a 1-year contract today. Josh Dobbs did. So yeah, I got confirmation just now.
All right. So you're not lying.
I got
That time.
I'm lying, I'm dying. Yeah. So the Hall of Fame game was this weekend on Saturday, and the Panthers beat the Cardinals 33-0 in a nail biter. As last play of the game. The Panthers rushed for a touchdown. But Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig were all inducted into the Hall of Fame. And there's the Vikings kind of mix in there because Roger Craig played for the Vikings towards the end of his career back when Denny Green first must have been 92 and 93, I think. He played for the Vikings those 2 years. So he was enshrined in the Canton. But there was a lot of talk too because of Larry Fitzgerald and his local ties or his ties to Minnesota. So he talked quite a bit in his induction about Uncle Chris, Chris Carter showing him the ropes and Randy Moss showing him how to be a professional.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see some of that in the future, like people like Ball Boys talking about Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson helping them out. Probably won't hear stories about Stephon Diggs helping.
Yep.
Trying to ask their sister out. Hey, can you give me a date with your sister?
Yeah.
All right, so we can talk about other Vikings camp standouts that you guys have heard people talk about. Obviously, Charles Demings is brought up every single day. He has his quotes. He's breaking up passes against Justin Jefferson and doing the too small motion.
Oh, yeah.
Jefferson. So, I mean, the NFL.
And Ty Felton, Dawkins, whatever you.
From Dawkins.
Yeah, there's been a lot of steam about them. Yeah.
Ty Felton was getting some run because Addison hadn't hurt his thumb.
Yeah.
So
Well, he wasn't even doing it while Addison was out there too. So there have been talks about some of the deep balls he caught, and then of course he dropped a couple. But
I'll do. Yeah, it does sound like that. Dylan Bell had a really bad day that one day with dropping the balls.
yeah,
and he had some hype, and we both. I mean, I picked him as one of the potential Mr. Magnetos, but yeah,
I did too.
sounds like he might be in trouble getting cut.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully, if he does, hopefully he makes it on the practice squad and they're able to keep him around to develop him a little bit
Right.
because he has that, that Percy Harvin, Cordell Patterson type of, yeah, and just an explosiveness, just being able to break tackles and stuff. It sounds like, that's what Percy did so, well for not being so
Yep.
big. He just able to run through tackles. But also, you hear about all the rookies that are getting snaps with the first team defense, like Kalen Banks, Big Citrus is getting snaps. Jake Galday is playing elsewhere. You remember when we were talking about the depth charts and initially they were talking about playing him at inside linebacker. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense because of his movement skills, but it does sound like he's getting snaps elsewhere, not just at inside linebacker, which is
Yep.
good. So,
Yeah, no, that is good.
and that's what I've seen people joking about, like, because the general manager, obviously, we didn't have one. We had the interim. And it wouldn't be funny if, like, the best draft the Vikings had in years, they had no GM during the draft. It was Rob.
The cap guy.
Yeah, that guy, that was the guy that did the best drafting, not the general managers. So, but no, I mean, that's a good sign for the Vikings. If the more people they can have getting snaps, being in the mix, the better off they'll be overall, and the
Mhm.
healthier they could be.
Right.
Unlike the line last year, that offensive line that just, yeah. Max Bredesen was getting talked about. There was a goal line play on one of the practices last week where they had Bredesen and Josh Oliver pulling or lead blocking for the running back at the goal line. So that'd be nice, short line, actually running the ball instead of trying to get cute and running reverses or receiver reverse or a reverse pass or whatever they were trying to do last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, Jay Hawkinson talked about Max. Oh, he was handling it. He could be the fullback. He could be the tight end. He was able to move around. And I think Brian O'Neill even made the comment about him being a smasher. He's not scared to pound his pads into the defense. So, yeah.
Any other players you heard people talking about, Raven? Which, I mean, it sounds like we haven't heard much. Like, I haven't heard anything about my pick. I was picking Bo Richter to be Mr. Mankato just because been in the system for a few years. Figured he'd make some noise, but he's been quiet. Damon Claiborne was falling down the
Yeah.
depth from the sounds of it until he had a big run yesterday or the
Yep.
day before.
Yeah. Sounds like he kind of redeemed himself a bit on that.
And I actually saw the clip. He barely got touched. He just did a jump cut and then he was gone. So like
Oh.
in a real game, it would have been a long touchdown, not like these like kind of pretend arm tackle run through the arm tackles at the end of a play and training camp kind of runs. It would have been a legitimate touchdown.
And it sounded like Deshaun Jones had some really good contested catches and stuff too during the
Yeah,
camp.
I heard that too. Yeah.
Well, then we heard Blake Brandel was having some snap issues.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the other thing I was going to bring up was that.
Well, then too, I heard that when the day after he was having that issue, that they were out there and they were doing that drill before all the other players got out there, to do their warm ups, their individuals, and whatever else. Yeah, I heard that, but noticed that they were out there working on the snapping.
But then it seems like every other day you hear one of the quarterbacks had an off day.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
It's not one of them, it's the other one.
But the one has more familiarity with the offensive calls and everything else than the other two,
Well,
a
here's
little
the
better.
deal. They've been even on the snaps, but some of the question is, okay, Murray was getting quote the majority's more snaps with the number ones,
Yep.
but yet McCarthy, though he was getting snaps with the number two, but was also going against quote number one defense. So, it they were jumping back and forth.
Right.
But supposedly Murray was having two real good days. He was out shining. And then was it they had Thursday? Yeah, after their day off, I think it was Friday and Saturday, both McCarthy was out doing Murray, and then I heard too that toward the end of the day that they both were kind of lousy, weren't doing very well. So, but anyways,
Well, Rappaport just had a article earlier saying pretty much it's Murray's job to lose at this point. They feel that he's still got the much bigger edge.
Well, the experience, that's where his edge is.
Well, and his experience, which is it allows him to layer the balls a little better and stuff than JJ's able to.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Murray been able to get the ball downfield, but the intermediate range, like the middle of the field, been bad throws. Either short. Well, in fact, there was a talk about dumping the ball off. The ball went into the ground when he tried to do the short passes, but he was struggling with the intermediate throws, and it was more problematic for him throwing down the middle of the field. Yeah, he could throw out, but throwing in is where he'd been missing the target or whatever. So I don't know. It's hard telling. Yeah, I'm
We can go off as what everybody else is saying. So
yeah. Well, like I told Joe, my feeling about the deal is coming Saturday at the first preseason game with the Giants, and I got a feeling that it doesn't matter if it's Murray, one or the other, Murray or McCarthy will start off and play a couple series, and then whoever's not starting off will do the next couple series. Then the rest of the game will be Wentz and Mac. Then I figure come when the Ravens come to town, I think that they're even going to go into joint practices, and it probably won't be till the end of that day and no earlier than the second preseason game. You'll know who's out there and whatever, and they might have Murray out there with the number ones for a series and be done, and then it's McCarthy, Wentz, and Max the rest of the time. Who knows, But I don't think it's going to be till the Ravens preseason game that will have any indication which route that O'Connell's going to go. So because Murray's been getting most of the first team reps, but here's the thing, like you said, John, McCarthy already knows the system. He knows the plays.
yeah,
He doesn't. In order to Murray to get the reps, to learn the system, he's got to have more snaps. Correct?
yeah.
So,
Well, that's the thing too. Is like they are implementing that new run system too. So Justin Jefferson, JJ McCarthy is still kind of learning, somewhat new stuff that they're implementing. They're bringing in the Frank Smith.
Yeah.
Game.
well, right. Well, there's always new plays. They're not. They like they, add new plays to it. So he's learning them too. But I mean, learning the system, their each spot or whatever is still the same. I don't know how I kind of heard him real quick when Wes Phillips was talking about the wide receiver, A, B, X, C, Y, all that. And it was like, okay, there's this. And there must have been what he was going off of that point when I heard him was at least 6 different lineup spots, It's like, so I'm thinking there's got to be at least a dozen different spots, So, yeah.
I guess the point I was getting at though was, and they announced immediately, hey, we're gonna be signing Kyler Murray. There's gonna be a quarterback competition. They immediately announced that, and so right now we hear that Kyler's getting more first team snaps. JJ's kind of getting less of the first team snaps based on who's because we have so many different people charting their pass attempts, completions, who snaps the first team, snaps the second team. But my concern is that they're going through the motions here because they said they're going to do it. And you're right. I don't think at this point they're going to announce who. We might not even know until the start of the season who they announced publicly who the starter is. But I guarantee you after the second preseason game, after the joint practices and after they play the Ravens, that there's going to be one announced. We're going to know, and then we're going to hear how many more snaps Kyler Murray's probably getting. I'm ready. If I were to have to if somebody put a gun in my head and say, who are you picking? I'm still picking Kyler Murray. Yeah, he's gonna be picked or chosen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
I just hope that it's not at the detriment to the rest of the team, or you're taking away snaps from him when he
Right.
benefited from getting more snaps, and they're going to JJ instead.
Just like JJ not playing JJ enough in the preseason last year.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, well, you can sit on the sideline. You're good.
And I just don't want them to try to be too cute, like they did last year with KOC, try to be too cute with some of the play calling. I just don't want them to go through the motion just because they say they were. Or they wanted to run an old school QB competition like they did back in the 80s, like we talked about with Joe Montana and Steve Young. I mean, I hope it doesn't come back to bite them in the butt to begin the season, because we've seen like last year, one more win, they would have probably made in the playoffs. So it matters.
Well, look at there was even talk about there was some of the practices where Wentz came out with the first team, second team, whatever, but he had like 3 passes with the first team, made every one of them passes, and then the other time he only came out, had 2 passes, and Max had 3 or 4, but every time Wentz threw a pass, it was completed. So, I'm looking at it, and Wentz gets knocked for how he played when he was with the Jets, and was it the Jets? No, the Eagles, and
Yeah,
where
certainly.
so yeah, he's in his early 30s, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a couple more years on 2, 3 years on Murray, and of course, how many years on JJ. But the bottom line is, we all got to keep in mind, remember the fact that JJ, what, he only had actually 2 years of college quarterbacking, or 3 years. He did not have, and then Michigan, all they did was do a lot of run plays. You didn't pass that often.
Yep.
So you got to look at it. He's just turned 23, and you got to look at the older. And it doesn't bother me. The one thing that does bother me, when all these talking heads are saying, "Well, if Murray pick at the starting quarterback, look for the Vikings to trade JJ." I don't think that's going to be, because O'Connell even said that he still believes that can develop McCarthy to be a starting, full-time starter. So,
But I just have a hard time with them, signing Carson Wentz to be a third string quarterback.
well, you never know. They might put him at the backup quarterback and McCarthy number 3. You don't know. It depends on how training camp ends, where McCarthy is at it in his development, and whatever. But they might be looking at it. Okay, the talk also is Murray injury prone, McCarthy injury prone. You automatically put that on McCarthy because he got hurt his first year, then hurt a couple times
this last year. Yeah.
but a lot of the injuries there was due to a couple of them was due to being a rookie and trying to do too much on his own and whatever. But the bottom line is, so if Murray, it noted, the starting quarterback, he plays 2 games, get injured, and then wins. If he's a backup, then he's in there playing him. So I think they would rather have Wentz as the third quarterback, because there's be a good chance that McCarthy get injured. So then you need Wentz to come in and whatever. So I don't know. That's why, even though you're right, Joe, can't see about having Wentz not being the backup and being the third string, but then there might be a madness to their thinking, so who knows?
Yeah,
That's my
there's not a trade market for JJ. If they try to trade him, they're not going to get anything.
No.
no.
And then again, that's part of the reason why they're always in this mess, because they don't have a long game plan at quarterback. So hopefully they
Yep.
Hopefully develop him, and hopefully maybe even Max gets some more development. Because again, he's not getting many snaps in this camp either. So I don't know. I just don't want him to go through the charade and waste. I guess waste our time, waste the players' time, and then hurt the team in the long run. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, I've heard people say that Wentz might even be the backup, and then if say Kyler gets hurt, doesn't work out, they throw Wentz out there right away instead of putting JJ in. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're gonna have it figured out, what'd be the best suited for the team, So, yeah, and I'm not gonna be banging on the table for anybody other than the defensive players and the wide receivers and the running backs and whatever, and bang the table for what old lineman I think gotta be signed to the 53. But anyways, that being said, no matter how much I bitch about it or my way of thinking doesn't always coincide with what them professionals are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and regardless of who the quarterback is, if our own line doesn't hold up like they didn't last year, it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, it
Right.
doesn't matter how good they are; they can only survive so long.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason that they want those three. They're going to keep three quarterbacks on the roster all year, and then the fourth on the practice squad, if Max Prosmer, gets cut and makes it past it, he'll probably end up on the practice squad. So they're going to end up with four quarterbacks that they can bring up at any given time. And
Yeah.
because of what they've dealt with the past few years, starting with Kirk Cousins hurting his Achilles that year, and having the pastor not come in, and then said Jalen, who is a quarterback from Brigham Young, that Jaron Hall,
Yeah.
like his first
Snap
first-
or
yeah,
was
series.
Yeah.
It was the first series at the goal line against what team was it?
wasn't it the Falcons?
I think it was, yeah. But let's move on, because you were talking about like the talking heads in their. Oops, let's go with that one. The talking heads and like what they think, because it seems like everybody currently right now is putting up the best lists, like the best tight ends in the league, best wide receivers, and they did a big. It sounds like the Athletic and the Bleacher Report put theirs out, but they did a QB ranking in the league, and so way they broke it down. There's tier one quarterbacks, tier two, tier three, and tier four. Where tier one's transcendent talents, they're the top of the league. Tier two's upper class. Tier three's legit starters. And then the tier four is just pretty much the bottom of the rest of the league.
Murray's ranked 21st.
What's that?
Murray is ranked 21st.
Yeah, 21st. And again, it just seems strange, right? So like KOC is known as the QB whisperer, and then he get more out of his quarterbacks, out of their play, just because he's able to coach them, and and then we got Josh McCown. But when it comes to these rankings, yeah, Kyler's 21st, 23rd, depending on what list you're looking at. And what they're saying is like, I don't know, I'm just looking at like the rest of the quarterbacks that are above him. Like, this is his first time that he was listed under number 17 in his whole career.
Yep.
So we look at, okay, he was also there saying that he wasn't in a good position with the Cardinals. All of a sudden you're here, you're more offensive weapons, but yet you're ranked lower.
It's just the Vikings. It's the Vikings curse.
Gotta be.
Well, it never fails. Yeah. Well, they even talked about it. I know Purple Insider had one of the guys on his podcast that was in on that ranking. And he goes, yeah, you got the playmakers. You got O'Connell, one of the better play callers and whatever. But does Murray fit O'Connell's scheme? Because it was brought up. O'Connell likes his quarterbacks play under center and play from the pocket, But Murray's not that type of quarterback. He has problems seeing over his O-line because he's so short. That's the whole kicker there. So,
Yeah, we'll see though, because like the KOC offense with Kirk Cousins, there's plenty of play action passes where he was on the move outside of the pocket, which that was my complaint last year. They didn't do enough of that to help the young quarterbacks out. But that's what tier three is, a legit starter but needs a strong running game or a defense to win.
Yep.
So they're saying they're going to run more, and the defense is, it's going to be, if not better than last year, at least kind of in the same, which, they're one of the top defenses in the league.
I mean, even though they had those bigger names last year with Hargrave and them, they still didn't, they did good, but they didn't, take them to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, even with these the young talent coming in getting snaps, I think, like I said, I think they're going to be better overall because they're going to have more depth in other places they didn't as much last year. Although our edge rushers, people are going to complain, since we don't have Bernard, but I think Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel, and then maybe Galladay will get some run there too. But so Kyler Murray got 4 votes for the tier 2, 37 votes for a tier 3, and even got 9 votes for tier 4.
So was McCarthy ranked?
So tier 4 is unproven player, not enough information to classify, or veteran who ideally would not be a full season starter. And I believe JJ is number 33. Nope. JJ is 34 on this list. This is the Athletic. So top 10 votes, tier 5. Oh, there's a tier 5. Huh. But football looks hard for him, said an offensive coach. And they're just saying that he walked into a good position with KOC, but hasn't been able to live up to the hype or live up to where they picked him. And his snaps, only playing 10 games last year, didn't give anyone any confidence that he'd be able to improve or be a starter anytime soon.
That also reminds me when I made the comment about O'Connell saying that he still believes in McCarthy, the development and all that, because the question was thrown at him. Well, there'd been talk going around with the talking heads that McCarthy was actually Quasi's draft pick or his pick. And then O'Connell set the record straight that he, along with Quasi, they knew that they wanted to get a rookie quarterback in and develop him and have that quarterback as, future starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. So he said that their belief was they would be able to develop him and whatever. So they tried to do everything. They tried to the classes, the meetings, and the AI visual, goggles and whatever else, and to help McCarthy along, but it just didn't help without the lights. So.
Well, and I think obviously we talked about it too, that KOC wanted Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold last year. He wanted one of the two. And that was what if Kwesi was able to do that, or was actually able to pull off keeping one of those two, then I think he'd still be the GM. But I think that's part of the big reason why he's not there anymore, is because he wasn't able to pull that off for one reason or another. I don't know. We just got done spending how much money on those defensive tackles or the defensive linemen, not to be able to shell out a few extra dollars for the quarterback that KOC wanted to bridge, before JJ was JJ was named the starter.
Yep.
So we have the highest ranked in the rest of the NFC North. So who do you think the highest ranked quarterback is in the NFC North?
Don't tell me it's Caleb Williams or whoever he is.
No, he's the lowest.
Oh.
But he's still ranked well above Kyler. But Caleb Williams is the lowest ranked in the NFC North, aside from Kyler.
So they must have Goff.
They have Goof. Jared Goof is number 8. He's tied for number 8. 8 best quarterback in the league. And you know how much I hate that he's on here, because his offensive scheme, the system, I hate that system. And again, hopefully it gets farther and farther away from Ben Johnson's system. But again, he's the head coach of Tom's favorite team. So I guess we'll have to deal with that offense with the Bears, but hopefully not so much the Jared Goof's Lions. So so Jared Goof is 8. He had 4 votes for tier 1, 39 votes for tier 2, and only 7 votes for tier 3.
What tier is Loveless in?
Jordan Loveless for the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers is number 10, just behind the Goof. So he had 2 votes for tier 1, 37 votes tier 2, and 11 votes for tier 3.
You know why he got ranked that high? Because these guys are Packer ass kissers.
Well, they all because
He eats the hot
He-
dogs like they did that one video I sent.
oh yeah, like an ice cream, he gets the mustard and ketchup off first. So I mean, I just don't see. And he only passed for 23 touchdowns because he missed a few games. And then was it Malik Willis came in? He got himself a contract with who signed him? Like was it the Dolphins? Yeah. So again, these talking heads talk one way. I don't know. They seem to talk out of both sides of their mouth, right? They'll say one thing in this situation, but it's inconsistent because then they'll try to have a similar situation or similar scenario, and then they say the opposite thing that they said for the other person. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I know if they do that, it's aggravating. You know, oh yeah, they talk all big talk about oh yeah, O'Connell and his quarterback whisper and his play calling and this and that. So it's like, oh, what the hell, Then if they talk about LaPeur for the Packers, yeah, I don't know. I get tired of listening to them guys.
Yeah. And then we got Caleb Williams tied at 11, tied with Brock Purdy. So we had 36 votes at tier 2 and 14 votes in tier 3. So again, they're saying that he improved his year-over-year standing. So the next year he's going to improve that much more, which I don't know. We'll wait and see. I think the NFL defenses are going to have more film on him, know what Ben Johnson's trying to do, and I don't think it'll be as easy for him this next year. And they didn't win as many close games as I thought they did last year, but there were quite a few games where there's kind of like YOLO balls were getting thrown up and they were getting caught, which were helping the Bears win games. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting to revisit this list at the end of the year and see where Kyler Murray and JJ where they end up at the end of the year, because I think they're getting low balls here, I think, on this list. They should be higher. But again, prove it. And neither of them have proved it. So anything else, any other topics we didn't touch on or you want to bring up?
Pretty good for tonight.
Yeah,
No,
I think so.
I think we got her covered.
They're practicing right now. They're having a night practice. The Vikings are.
Yep.
It's on Fox 9. If you want to go to the YouTube channel, it's on right now. I got it pulled up, so like hopefully sometimes when they're live, like once the live's gone, the video will disappear. So I got it pulled up. Hopefully it sticks around. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to see some throws from Kyler and JJ on under the lights, and maybe they'll get some deep passes here for touchdowns.
We'll see.
And then we'll have to decide if we're going to record Wednesday or Thursday, what works best for everybody. But we'll be recording, getting back into the consistent groove again. And then we'll talk about what we want to do, if we want to try some live videos and, maybe doing a live like during a preseason game or something to see what, if there's any interest in that. But we'll talk about that behind the scenes. And with that, I think we got it covered. I think we'll preview the Packers on Thursday or Wednesday, depending on which day we record. So we'll have that coming up, and then we'll make our way to the Lions and the Bears.
Sounds good.
It's cool. Like, subscribe, comment. Uncomfortable eye contact. Keep going. You got it. Don't fart. You did.